So Arrtx sent me a bunch of art supplies, and there was some really interesting stuff here that I can't wait to explore in future videos. But the item I am most excited about today are the new Arrtx Colored Pencils. But before I open these pencils, I wanted to see what else they've sent, and I definitely wasn't expecting to find this insane collection of Paul Rubens oil paints. After I recently tried to learn acrylic painting in a day, many of you said you wanted to see me learn oil painting next. So I think we are all set to make that happen soon with this huge range. What else is here? So we have two sketch mixed media pads. Both are designed to lay flat so that you can easily paint on both sides without worrying about damaging the spine. This paper is really nice and thick. It'd be interesting to see how nicely the pencils and markers work on this. We have banana sketching sponge for making a hazy and rendered effect on the picture when painting. Arrtx have also sent me a range of watercolor paints from some of the other brands owned by the same company, and some very interesting sparkling watercolor paper. So I might try one of these on our coloring page later in this video and save the rest to explore in more depth in the future. But this is really what I'm here for today: the markers and the Arrtx Colored Pencils. I've never used the Arrtx alcohol markers, so I have been eager to try these out for a while, and they've sent me some of the ALP and the OROS range today. And even just the packaging already really stands out as a great giftable option compared to other art supplies I've tried. Ooh, stickers! The ALP markers have a bullet and a chisel nib, and the OROS markers have a chisel and a brush nib. So for me personally, the OROS markers are a little more exciting because I use a brush nib more than anything. Both sets of markers come in a range of over 200 colors that you can buy across multiple sets. If you want the full color range, the best option is to buy the 80 and 90 sets, and then there's the skin tone set. Or if you're someone who uses a specific set of colors more than the rest, you can buy one of these smaller sets of 24 to 40 colors from a particular color range, like I've done today with the ALP markers. So I'm really liking these OROS markers. They lay down so nicely. They have really good saturation, and the color range here in the set of 90 I've got is great. At first, I wasn't sure about the difference between the set of 80 and the set of 90, but it turns out these offer completely different colors. So you can buy both without duplicates, except the colorless blender, which I often use for other things like blending my pencils and working on other projects anyway, so I like having lots of spares. I do feel like some of the colors are very similar, and this could be improved to allow for a bit more variety, but overall there's a good range here with a mix of light and dark colors, pastels, brights and grays. And then there's the skin tone set. The skin tone set has no duplicates again with the 80 or 90 markers, which is not always the case when buying markers at this price point. I like that there are a good amount of really light tones that you can build up, but I do think this set lacks the darker skin tones completely. Although I have read in a review on Lindsay the Frugal Crafter's website that Arrtx are planning to release a range of darker skin colors in the future. For now, pairing this skin tone set with the larger sets does give you a good overall range that makes up for a lot of those color gaps. I tested the OROS alcohol markers on bleed-proof marker paper and the Nina Bristol vellum cardstock that I like to use for most of my artwork, and they performed similar to my other markers on all three. Personally, I'm finding that I prefer the results on the Nina paper even more than the marker paper, although this does absorb a lot more ink. I just feel it offers a smoother final result, and it will be much easier to layer pencils if I'm wanting to work with mixed media, which is something that I do a lot in my coloring pages. These markers do bleed quite a lot on cheap printer paper, but the same happens when you're using any alcohol marker, even Copic markers. They also blend really well, and when it comes to price, these markers are under $1 each in US dollars, making them a much more affordable option than Copic. I think we might need to do a marker comparison video soon, so let me know if that's something that you'd find useful. I think it's time. Arrtx have just released their first ever set of colored pencils. There are 72 pencils in this set and they are advertised as artist grade and light resistant. At a first impression, these pencils feel really nice to hold. They have a good weight to them and they feel high quality. The barrel color wraps around the base and it just looks good. The box itself is beautiful too. It's something I can see people keeping on their desk to easily grab the pencils. There's padding in the bottom so they are well protected, and I wonder, yep, they move even less if you sit them the other way, although just don't stab yourself. Ow. But the real question is, how well do they color? As I start swatching these pencils, I'm actually surprised at how nice they feel. I mean, it's hard to judge a pencil from just swatching, so we'll use them more thoroughly in a moment and color a page. But my first impressions, I'm impressed. I was not expecting these pencils to be so nice to use. They seem to layer really well, but also have that buttery feel, almost like a Prismacolor, but not quite as soft or waxy. Wait, what's going on here? This pencil is like multiple colors. Okay, so this is obviously just a manufacturing glitch and a strange one. If you ever find a pencil like this with any company, just write in and they'll replace it. As I continue swatching, I do think this set has a good color range overall, except that there are a lot of yellows here, and in a larger set, this would make sense. But in a set of 72, I would have preferred to see a few of these yellows maybe swapped for some other colors to offer a better range. Maybe something like a light blue. Other than that, they seem to have a pretty good variety of colors. I wanted to see how these pencils blend, so I've been making a lot of use of my swatch kit today. And I'm really surprised at how many layers I seem to be able to build up with these pencils. So many mid-range or budget pencils don't layer much at all, but these seem to be able to layer at least 5 to 6 layers. And interestingly, these don't seem to have as much of a waxy buildup as a Prismacolor pencil. Even on the cheap printer paper that I usually avoid, I'm still able to layer and blend these pencils enough to create completely new colors. And when it comes to layering over markers, these just work. So I think that's what I'm going to do for my coloring page today. I've chosen a coloring page from my 2022 planner, but I'll also make this available in the $1 section on my website if you'd like to color along. I've chosen a sky color palette from the color catalog that I wouldn't usually think to try, and I found the pencils and markers to match. After starting on the clouds here, I quickly realized that I didn't have a plan for how to approach this, so I've decided I should start with the background instead. This will give me a light source that I can use to hopefully shade my clouds with a bit more guidance. And while I start on this, I think I might need to address the elephant in the room. This is a sponsored video, so from a viewer perspective, I can see the dilemma of trying to work out what's my true opinion or whether I've been paid off to say only nice things. And honestly, I didn't expect these pencils to be as good as they've been. I'm trying not to say that these are the best mid-range pencils that I've come across because that's a big claim, but I wouldn't be surprised if these end up ranking as the best or one of the best at their price point when I next do a pencil comparison with all the different brands. So I wouldn't usually say this, but given how much that I am kind of bragging about these pencils right now, I do feel that this clarification was needed. I say no to a lot of brands and I am very selective in who I allow to sponsor these videos. Beyond that, I will never agree to a sponsorship that doesn't allow me to have the creative control or to say what I think about a product, the good and the bad. Your trust in my reviews means more to me than any compensation or free pencils, and I want you to know that and be confident in knowing that I won't recommend things to you that I wouldn't use myself. You will see these markers on my shelf and in my videos after today, and you'll see these pencils again because I am genuinely impressed. I do have some areas that I think they can improve, which I'll talk about shortly. And if you're still unsure, I'll link to some other reviews from other trustworthy creators in my blog post in the description so that you can research them further for yourself. As I continue working on my page, I'm really enjoying using both the pencils and the markers. The markers blend quite well. and might not even need the layer of pencils, but I enjoy working with markers and pencils together and do this often because the markers fill all the white gaps in the paper and are quick to use, and then the pencils can really get into the details, build up the lighting and shading, and fix any areas of the marker that didn't blend well. The clouds have been an interesting challenge, so it helped me a lot to determine my light direction first. I was originally planning on more of a sunset with the light coming from the bottom of the scene, but because I'd already made a start on the two clouds in the middle, I had to make a change, and I think I like it. I've roughly sketched out some shadows on the edges of the clouds that are the furthest away from the light source on each cloud. For the clouds at the top, this is on the top side of the clouds, and for the clouds at the bottom, this is along the bottom edge. I am guessing a lot here, but these clouds are pretty forgiving, and because there are a lot of them, the overall effect works, even if I don't get every single one perfect. As I come in with my pencils, I'm following the same shading, but just building up the shading and midtones of each cloud further, leaving a highlighted edge that follows the curved shape of the cloud. My main goal has been to keep thinking in round shapes for each part of the cloud, and this seems to be working no matter whether I choose to lighten or darken each area. When it comes to mid-range colored pencils, I think these are the closest I've seen a pencil come to Prismacolor's performance, but without the Prismacolor's breakage. From what I've heard, they have glued the pencil core along the entire barrel, making them far more resistant to breakage while still keeping that soft blendability that makes them wonderful to use. If I had some areas I'd like to see improved in these pencils, it would be matching the barrel color to the core. These aren't matched very well, and so you'll need to swatch them out to know what the colors are instead of relying on the colors of the outside of the pencils. And I would like to see the size of the font on the barrel made much bigger. It's quite hard to read the numbers and names of the colors with this small font, especially since it's written in silver. I've reached out to Arrtx to ask if they had any plans to make these changes in the future, and they were already onto it. They said they were planning to make the words on the pencils easier to read, improve the color matching of the cores, and check the range of yellows. So they are listening to the feedback from other customers and reviews as well. They are also considering releasing a larger range of pencils and open stock options in the future. So these are all great news for what is a really enjoyable pencil to use. At the moment, these pencils are cheaper than Prismacolor and are priced similar to a 72 set of Castle Art or Arrtx pencils on Amazon at around $30 to $40 US. I decided to add a wide highlight along the lightest edge of my clouds. I started with the Faber-Castell Pit Artist pen, which is more opaque and has a large tip, so I'm not totally happy with how this looks. But for consistency's sake, I'm going to keep going. And then I'm coming back with a finer point white paint pen to remove those black lines and hopefully make the white edge look a little better. It's time to color my hot air balloons, and I don't want to totally change my color palette, but I do want these balloons to feel colorful. So this is where I'll really be stretching these pencils. I'm going to go with a straight color layer of the marker and rely on these pencils to bring this back into my color palette with lighting and shading that matches the rest of the scene. I don't know if this will work, but there's only one way to find out. And this is finished. Well, maybe. I actually really want to try some of the metallic or pearlescent watercolor paints to add some whimsical touches to this, but I'm not sure if it will ruin it or make it more interesting, and it's a risk. And I really like this page right now, but I also like taking creative risks, so we're doing it. I've chosen the Supervision pearlescent watercolor paints, but I don't want to add too much water because I have no idea how that will react to my alcohol markers or the pencils. Instead, I'm going in fairly dry and I'm just kind of dabbling. By the way, if you want to watch a longer version of this drawing process, I'll be putting up the full process on my second channel, where you can find a bunch of my other drawings and coloring pages too. And this kind of looks cool, but if I'm being totally honest, I think I preferred it before. But that's okay. I tried something new and I'm still really happy with the end result. I'm really excited to add both these markers and these pencils to my collection, and I want to thank Arrtx again for sponsoring this video and sending me these supplies to try. I am definitely eager to try these oil paints soon, but if you'd like to see my first painting attempt with acrylics, you can watch that right now.